As the prophet of esports, I rely on trustworthy and meaningful data every day. Data from our research partner YouGov offers the most complete view of esports fans and gamers in the world, providing context to who they are, what they think, the brands they buy, and things they do. YouGov's connected insights and research services inform strategy at every level. If you're a team, a brand, agency, or rights holder, you should be talking with YouGov. Their partners measure and maximize ROI and are telling compelling stories with data. Visit yougov.com/gaming-esports to learn more.
Let's talk about Sony in the news, guys. Sony, I was shocked when I saw this, okay? The headline here is Sony Entertainment to buy Jade Raymond's Haven Gaming Studio. So this game studio was founded a year ago with an initial investment from Sony Interactive Entertainment. Haven includes game creators with more than a decade of experience working on some of the industry's most popular games. I don't know what games they're working on because they're brand new. But Sony is buying the Montreal-based video game development studio led by industry veteran Jade Raymond. She founded the Ubisoft Toronto studio, but she was maybe more recently famous for the massive flop at Google Stadia, and probably abandoned ship there at the right time, went on to create Haven, and is now a year later being bought. And I'm curious what you guys think of this. Sony, the number was not disclosed in terms of the size of the acquisition, but Sony definitely not shy about making their own acquisitions, right? In light of the Microsoft sort of spending spree. I'm curious what you make of this. Is this buying talent? Is this they see a game? Like what is it, Jeff?
Well, I think you framed it correctly by kind of framing it versus what Activision's done and just the M&A in the space. I mean, I think it's right now there's a war for talent, and these companies are just looking for anyone who has built teams and has studios, even if they don't have any IP and don't really have any games that they've shipped yet. Jade Raymond is an interesting example, right? Her last 3 roles, you mentioned she was at Ubisoft. She then famously went to EA, and she was a big hire. There was a lot of press around it. She, I think, built EA Motive, and they never launched a game under her. Then she went and she was like the first shiny new hire at Google Stadia, and she was there for 2 years, never built a game. And now she starts the studio and gets acquired without having built a game. So, good on her. She's obviously, well-respected executive in the industry. The fact that she's continuing to get these roles and people want her in their company. I'll be excited to see, the game that they finally ship. Clearly, she's probably built a very talented team around her. And obviously that's, what Sony's looking to acquire.
Does this shift the conversation though? Like so many of these conversations, guys, we've had it's about buying exclusives, right? It's the battle for exclusives. But now we're buying game studios that haven't even announced a game, right? So has the space heated up to the point where it's all a battle for talent now? It's not even a battle for exclusives anymore. We sort of don't care what games people are making. We need to scoop as many developers as possible because otherwise the other person will.
I think it kind of is. And we talked about this. I forget if it was on Meta Business or just when we were chatting. I mean, there's so much money flowing into the space, and particularly even on the Web3 side. I mean, these venture funds that are being raised is massive. So I think that every traditional gaming company is feeling this pinch right now. Hey, we got to acquire teams. We've got to acquire studios because I imagine that all of these companies are losing dozens and dozens and hundreds of employees a month to new Web3 studios and companies that have just. We covered GameFam, the Roblox developer publisher, raised $25 billion. We thought that was a massive raise. So you're just seeing a lot of money flow into space, and money attracts talent. So the companies like Sony, Epic, Activision Blizzard, they need talent. So whether it comes with IP, it almost doesn't matter, I guess.
Well, I mean, one of the things, and guys, you can look forward to this. One of the things Jeff and I covered on this week's episode of Meta Business was FTX buying a game development studio. And I mean, do you guys think there's a broader, like we've talked on this podcast many times about how the market for game studios is heating up. It's red hot. There's tons of competition, right? All the big publishers, developers are buying smaller studios. If crypto companies now are throwing their hats in the ring and buying up game development studios, right? Like, because they all want to get into gaming. I mean, this market could be, could really be on fire over the next year or two. I don't know if you guys agree with that, disagree, Jimmy?
And mute. No, good. Sorry. Sometimes I mute and I never know. Honestly, I don't have a lot to add beyond Jeff's because I really feel like you kind of hit a lot of the topic on the head in terms of the pressure. Like when you talked about the pressure to come out with something compelling and the gamble on talent more than anything else, I just feel like that's so telling for this. Isn't also this. I didn't think this was new to me. This also seems somewhat reminiscent of a conversation we had months ago or last year where we kind of called this and we said, as these studios get larger and larger, as these indies are putting out very interesting things, and as there's an exodus of people that are leaving to try and explore these new fields, it's going to be more about who can just scoop up the most amount of talent and have this following, or rather have this portfolio of businesses where any one of them could be the next big thing. And I'd rather buy 20 of them right now as opposed to waiting for the $4 billion, $5 billion Bungie acquisition after they've already made it and after they're already successful. If that follows.
Yeah, I mean, let me just catch up on some comments here, and then we'll. Tom says that sounds great. Lawyers are surprisingly interesting. Tom, a backhanded compliment for Jimmy, I guess. Mrs. DeVos says, "Oh, sounds interesting." Harder Barbecue says this is surprising from Sony considering it's a brand new company. It is very surprising under normal circumstances, but not when everyone and their dog wants to get into gaming. And so the market for these companies is just red hot. Harder Barbecue says maybe they wanted to hire her, but she said the only way she'll work for them is if they acquire the company. I mean, they really had to want to hire her if that was the case. I don't think I've ever heard of things playing out like that. Maybe he says, Harder Barbecue says, maybe not just employing her alone, maybe one or more people. Brandon says, Jeff the Juice tuning in on vacation. The dedication is unmatched. He is very dedicated.